My name is Father Pius Petrick. I'm the Vice Chairman of the Board of Directors for Legal Services Corporation. I've been, we're not in Kansas, but I've been through Kansas many times, mostly driving through. I've had the great privilege of being through that great metropolitan area that is known as Parsons, Kansas, in the southeast corner of the state. Although, let's be honest, it is really more culturally Oklahoma. I've got a dear friend from there, so I always tease him with that. And if you're ever down there, the ladies of the library are just wonderful to deal with. I had to get something from the library, and they were great. But one thing when we think about Kansas, if we think about Kansas, other than rainbows and munchkins, what we think about is the people of Kansas. We think about that spirit of the Midwest that is really a part of Kansas. People who love their community, who are practical, who work hard, and who have a great sense of hospitality for others. And I think that if you look at Chief Justice Luchert, who I am pleased to be able to introduce today, you see that in her tenure both on the Supreme Court of Kansas, and especially as Chief Justice. She has made access to justice for the people of Kansas one of the centerpieces of her work as Chief Justice. She has worked in leveraging web-based forms to promote access to the courts. She's updated the state's rules of conduct to enable increased access to pro bono services. And I will say this, in my time on the board, 12 years, as good of the work that our grantees do, what leverages that, which makes it more effective, are the folks in the state court systems, especially the chief justices, who give that model from the top down about the importance to access to justice. And you have that in Kansas. Chief Justice Luchert said once that access to justice needs to be more than some words that we throw out. It needs to be real. It needs to be meaningful. And I think we have in Kansas the example of a woman who, in her position, has made access to justice for Kansans real and meaningful. And it is my pleasure now to present Chief Justice Marla Luchert to be able to speak to us for a few minutes this afternoon.
And I'll say, in the spirit of transparency, what I just whispered to, thank you for that kind introduction. I really appreciate it. And welcome to near Kansas. So you really are not very far from Kansas, and it is a beautiful day. So I invite you at a break to just take a walk to the west for really just a few blocks, and you will see a sign that says State Line. And you can enjoy that nice walk and get a sense. I think you'll immediately notice a lightening of the air and a freshness of the breath. And I am teasing my Missouri friends, but yes, no, we really do welcome you, and we're so pleased to have you here. It is really an honor to be able to be part of the group that is hosting you as you celebrate the 50th anniversary and the 45th anniversary for our state LSC. We are very proud of our Legal Services Corporation in Kansas and the incredible work that it does. We, as a judicial branch, are very, very lucky to have a strong working relationship with Marilyn and all of her staff people in all of the offices across our state. I feel that it is a partnership that helps move us strongly in our access to justice. Justice Thurgood Marshall said that mere access to the courthouse doors does not by itself assure a proper functioning of the adversary process. We really learned that maybe too well in the last 2 or 3 years, that at times when access to justice was really very difficult because of COVID and health restrictions that were placed on. But I think, if anything, it maybe heightened an awareness for all of us that even when the courthouse doors were open, we were really falling far below the standard that we should have upheld. And we as a group, the Kansas Supreme Court and our Office of Judicial Administration, and the judges who help support those efforts, I think very much and very quickly embraced that we needed to respond and to act and to make change. And as we were embracing technology to bring in hearings and other things, we were able to also embrace technology so that even though there might be more limited access to the courthouse, or eventually even when we flung those doors wide open again, that we would be sure that there was a proper functioning of the system so that we were truly doing what our mission statement says, which is to provide equal access, equal, fair, and timely justice to everyone, not just some, but to everyone, as has been so well said today. I want to tell you just a little bit about the priority statements that we have made as a court, because I think it tells you something about many of the issues that you are talking about. We have said in our plan, as we have prioritizing access to justice, that we recognize that the court process is intimidating to the average person. We have said that that is especially true for the unrepresented, for disabled individuals, for those for whom their understanding of English is limited. We have said that we understand that fees and fines fitting into Your Next program can be unnecessarily burdensome to those who are indigent, and they prevent access to needed court services. And we have said that rural Kansans face geographic barriers. We are dedicated to exploring ways in which we can deal with those, eliminate or mitigate those problems, and all others that create a barrier. To just give you a little bit of a personal perspective, I want to step back to the first few days of my career. As we often say, the ink had hardly dry. It was hardly dry on my license to practice law when I was given my first referral from our local legal aid office under a program of pro bono service. My very first client on my very, very own, without a partner or another associate helping me, was a woman named Linda. Linda was needing domestic relations services. She had been in an abusive relationship, not only herself, but her children. Her husband had left her. No money, no car. She had no job. She had no food. And she had no housing. She had 2 very small children. While she was extremely bright and capable, and as life would prove to me later, a very hard worker and with an entrepreneurial spirit, she had no job training at that point in her life. She really was very overwhelmed. She went to the legal aid office, and with that sense of overwhelm, being just not knowing really where next to turn. And there she found attorneys and intake workers who helped her understand, we'll get you help. And I was fortunate to get that call to be the person who was asked to help Linda. So I marshaled her through with the legal help that she needed to deal with some of those problems. I met a woman who was downtrodden and fatigued, who felt little hope. By the end of that process, because of the support legal aid had given her and me as a new attorney, because I was reaching out to them saying, okay, what do I do here? Why do I need to do that? How can I do this? That type of thing. Linda had that spark of hope in her eyes as she left that system. I kind of lost track of Linda for a while, but then ran into her because she now tells me that the thought that we all believed in her and that we all wanted to reach out and help her at the lowest point for her in her life gave her that sense, that really a sense of empowerment. It was more than just the legal help. It was that sense that gave her some feeling of self-worth and that people valued and wanted to help her. That process helped her gain control of her life. It helped her gain control of her children's lives. It took them away from a violent situation, and it granted them the dignity that they needed at the point that they most needed that sense of dignity. I know that's not a unique story to you. You know that that happens hundreds and thousands of times in legal services officers across the country every day. But I value that because I really started my career with that. And I feel that need, that we need to be sure that that happens to every Linda in every place in our country. And I appreciate what you do, and I appreciate what Legal Services does in our community and our places, and the way they have supported us in making the structural changes that we needed to make, where we had rules that were impediments. The Rule 606.5 that as mentioned in the materials today. In addition, other rules that helped us have our judges feel freer to provide assistance. We were able to really bring about some changes to statutes, to programs, to resources, often at the prodding of Marilyn Harp, who would say, "Why don't you do this? Why haven't you done this? You really should have done that. Come on, get with it." And we are now growing with I think what will become even a more robust Access to Justice program. But we have had an Access to Justice committee. We've got Marilyn has served on that, maybe since for day one, I believe. We have 3 judges who are with us today who have led that effort at various points, and so wanted them to be a part of this today. Martha Kaufman will be receiving your recognition, and she was a staff person who was the key to our Access to Justice for many years. We now have Sarah Hoskinson, who's over here as our Access to Justice chair. But as I've mentioned, we are very committed to all of that. And with the pandemic, we did start a protection from abuse portal where people can go online and fill out all of the necessary paperwork. We now have it available in Spanish as well. It was really a pandemic response, and the judge who has really got all of that started, Judge Kevin O'Grady, is here. Judge O'Grady recently received a national award from the National Center for State Courts for his work in access to justice. He is our leader in self-help centers around the state, and which we have paired with legal services to provide attorney assistance for us in our help centers. But he really is the person who got that started in our state and became a national leader in that area. But he is also the one who helped conceive of this idea of the portal and link us with the people at the University of Missouri. I will give them the credit, Kansas City, who helped design that portal. Even though it was a pandemic response, we still process over 50% of all protection orders in our state through that portal. And I expect that use to grow and grow and grow. I would love to talk in more detail about all of the incredible ideas and things that we are implementing and doing. But what I really want to leave is a thank you to all of those people in my state that have helped push that. But a thanks to Marilyn and all of her staff for their incredible work and support of helping Kansans have that access to justice. And a thanks to all of you for being sure that that's happening all across our country. With you at the helm and with your leadership, I am confident that all of the Lindas will someday be able to walk either through that courthouse door or through whatever mechanism we have in the future for dispensing that justice, and that everyone will have the ability to have those barriers lowered or mitigated or removed so that we can ensure that they, like those that have all of the money in the world, are receiving that fair, impartial, and speedy justice. So thank you for all you do.